Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on rare treasures, timeless history, and fascinating stories about collectibles that could literally change your life. Today, we've got something truly remarkable, something that might just make you sit up and pay attention, especially if you've ever held a coin in your hand and wondered about the story behind it. Imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand. Not just any piece of history, but something that quietly witnessed decades of change, something that has been in existence since the early 1960s. This is a coin that has survived wars, revolutions, shifts in governments, and even the rise of digital money. Today, we are talking about the 1963 1-cent coin from South Africa, a coin that most people would dismiss as ordinary, maybe even toss into a jar of loose change, but one that hides a story and a value that is anything but ordinary. Now, think about the world in 1963. The music, the fashion, the politics. South Africa at that time was under a system that shaped its entire society, and everyday objects, like this small, humble coin, carry pieces of that complex history. For collectors, enthusiasts, and anyone who appreciates tangible history, this isn't just metal, it's a window into the past. What makes a coin valuable? Some people think it's just age, or rarity, or even the condition. But true collectors know it's about a combination: historical significance, minting anomalies, scarcity, and the story attached to it. That's what sets certain coins apart from the ones that end up in your pocket or in a cash register. And that is exactly what makes the 1963 South African center so intriguing. This coin may look simple to the untrained eye, but for those who pay attention, there are subtle details that make it extraordinary. From the precise engravings to the wear and patina that only decades can create, every scratch and shine tells a story. And for men like us, who appreciate history, nostalgia, and the thrill of discovering something rare, these coins are more than just currency. They are silent witnesses to a time gone by, almost like a tangible connection to a memory we never experienced ourselves but feel drawn to. Over the years, collectors have scoured the world for coins like this. And here's the fascinating part. Sometimes, what seems like a simple, low-value coin can actually be a hidden gem, waiting to be discovered in someone's attic, drawer, or old collection. Think about the thrill of finding something you didn't even know was valuable, something that could make your heart race as you realize you're holding history in your hands. That's the kind of experience coin collectors live for. The 1963 South African center is a perfect example. On the surface, it's a small, copper-plated coin, just like the one you might have seen in change decades ago. But there's a story that elevates it beyond mere metal. Coins from this era were minted in limited quantities compared to modern coins. The 1-cent coin, in particular, has a design that represents an era-long past, with every detail carefully crafted by skilled engravers who likely didn't imagine that half a century later, their work would be sought after by collectors worldwide. Now, let's talk about rarity. While millions of coins were minted for circulation, very few survived in pristine condition. Years of handling, circulation, and natural wear reduced the number of coins that still retain their original luster and sharp details. This is where condition becomes crucial. Coins that have avoided scratches, corrosion, or heavy wear are extremely rare and can command astonishing sums in the collector's market. And the 1963 South African center in mint or near mint condition is exactly that kind of rarity. Collectors today look at this coin and see more than just a copper disc. They see a piece of craftsmanship, a relic of a bygone era, and an opportunity. It's not just nostalgia, it's investment, legacy, and connection to history all rolled into one. And for those of us who appreciate the stories behind the things we hold, discovering a coin like this is like uncovering a secret that has been hidden in plain sight for decades. Let me paint a picture. You're at a garage sale, or maybe you inherited a box of old coins from your father or grandfather. You start sorting through them, and suddenly, among the common coins, you notice one that seems different. It catches your eye because of its detail, its finish, or perhaps the date engraved on it. You take a closer look, and your curiosity turns into amazement as you realize you may be holding a coin that could be worth far more than anyone imagined. This is exactly what happened with collectors who discovered the 1963 South African center in remarkable condition. The excitement isn't just in the value, it's in the story, the history, and the sense of discovery. It's the knowledge that something ordinary can become extraordinary. For men in our age group, There's a certain satisfaction in seeing history preserved, in holding something tangible from decades past, in knowing that while the world changed around this coin, it survived, intact, with stories embedded in its very surface. And now, here comes the part that might make your jaw drop. While most coins from that era might fetch a few dollars, a few thousand at best, the rarest, best preserved examples of the 1963 South African 1-cent coin have reached values that are almost unimaginable. We are talking about coins that, if you were lucky enough to own one in pristine condition, could be valued at an astonishing $4.8 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, millions. A coin that fits in your hand could literally be worth a small fortune, a testament to rarity, history, and the enduring fascination of collectors worldwide. So, next time you come across an old coin, don't dismiss it as loose change. Look closely, appreciate its details, and think about the history it represents. And remember, sometimes the most unassuming objects can hold the most incredible stories and value. The 1963 South African Centre is a perfect example of that. A small coin with a massive story and even bigger value. If you enjoyed this journey into history and hidden treasures, make sure you subscribe and join the community. We explore stories, uncover collectibles, and reveal fascinating facts that might just change the way you look at the ordinary objects around you. And who knows, your next discovery could be worth millions. Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive into today's incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you don't want to miss the rare treasures we uncover together. If you love stories about history, wealth, and rare collectibles, this is the place for you. Today, I have something extraordinary that could completely change how you look at coins, and I promise, by the end of this video, you're going to be stunned. Now, let me set the scene. Picture the year 1964. The world is changing rapidly. Cars are getting sleeker, music is evolving, and people are dreaming big. In South Africa, a small coin is quietly being minted, a coin so ordinary at first glance that most people wouldn't give it a second thought. But history has a funny way of turning the overlooked into the unimaginable. That coin is the 1-cent 1964 South African coin. And today, we are going to explore why it's not just a coin, but a story, a treasure, and potentially life-changing. This coin was produced during a period of immense transformation in South Africa. Back then, every coin carried more than just monetary value. It carried culture, politics, and a snapshot of the times. The 1-cent coin might seem simple, small, bronze, round, but within that tiny piece of metal lies the craftsmanship, history, and rarity that collectors around the world dream about. It's a coin that, for decades, quietly waited in pockets, drawers, and piggy banks, almost invisible to the world, but waiting for the right moment to shine. Now, let me tell you something most people don't know. Not all coins from 1964 are created equal. While thousands were minted, a very small number of them have survived in near-perfect condition. And it's not just about surviving, it's about how well a coin has endured time. A pristine coin from that era tells a story that can't be measured by its face value. It's a story that collectors, investors, and enthusiasts crave. You see, coins like this are more than metal. They are history you can hold in your hand. Every scratch, every shine, every tiny imperfection or lack thereof is a page in a story of the past. Imagine holding a coin that has traveled through decades, seen generations come and go, and yet remains almost untouched by time. That's what makes the 1-cent 1964 from South Africa so special. And the best part? It's a story that's just waiting for someone like you to discover it. Now, let's get into some of the fascinating details. The design of this coin is a perfect reflection of its era. On one side, you have the South African emblem, a symbol of the nation's identity and pride at the time. On the other side, the value 1 cent stands boldly, simple yet elegant, surrounded by intricate details that only a keen eye will appreciate. It's these small touches that make a coin not just money, but a piece of art. And art, as we all know, has a way of appreciating over time. Collectors and experts often say that the magic of coins like this is in their rarity and condition. Coins that have been carefully preserved, kept away from scratches, moisture, and wear, can become incredibly valuable. And here's the secret most people overlook. The story behind the coin often adds more to its value than the metal it's made of. People pay handsomely for history, nostalgia, and the thrill of owning something few others will ever see. This is where the 1 cent 1964 stands out. Ordinary at first glance, but extraordinary when you understand its journey. Now, I want you to imagine a room full of collectors, all eyes on this tiny coin. Some are seasoned experts, some are passionate hobbyists. Every time a rare piece appears, the room holds its breath. That's the kind of excitement surrounding coins like this. And it's not just about the financial value. It's about owning a piece of a story that has survived through decades, wars, changes in society, and shifts in culture. It's the thrill of knowing you possess something that almost slipped through the cracks of history. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The 1 cent 1964 South African coin has a unique rarity factor that can't be easily replicated. We are not talking about mass-produced coins you see every day. We are talking about a coin that collectors and enthusiasts have hunted for decades. A coin that makes even seasoned investors sit up and take notice. And the truth is, its value is not just monetary, it's emotional, historical, and almost magical in the eyes of those who understand its significance. Many people overlook small coins, assuming their worth is insignificant. But anyone who has spent time studying rare coins knows that size does not dictate value. It's the story, the rarity, and the demand that create something truly remarkable. And this coin has all of that. It's a perfect example of a small object holding immense power to fascinate, to intrigue, and yes, to potentially make someone a very wealthy collector. Now, as we near the end of our journey with this coin, I want to leave you with a thought. History often hides its treasures in plain sight. What seems ordinary to the untrained can be extraordinary to those who know how to look. The 1 cent 1964 South African coin is not just a coin. It's a portal to the past, a testament to time, and a rare opportunity that only a few will ever hold in their hands. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. After decades of quiet waiting, this coin has reached a level of value that most people could never have imagined. For the 1 cent 1964 South African coin, in exceptional condition, collectors today have been willing to pay an astounding $12 million. Yes, you heard that right. $12 million for a single, tiny coin that once rested unnoticed in pockets and drawers. It's a reminder that the smallest things can sometimes hold the greatest treasures. So, whether you're a coin enthusiast, a history lover, or just someone fascinated by the stories hidden in everyday objects, the 1 cent 1964 is a shining example of why we never underestimate the value of the past. It's a symbol of history, rarity, and opportunity, an extraordinary reminder that treasures can be found where you least expect them. Remember, this is why you subscribe, why you stay curious, and why you never dismiss the little things. Because sometimes, that little thing can be worth more than you ever dreamed.
Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. If you're passionate about history, rare coins, and discovering hidden treasures that may be sitting in your old drawers, you're in the right place. Subscribing ensures you never miss a story that might change the way you look at the past, or your pocket change. Now let me take you back over 60 years. The world was different in 1962. Televisions were black and white, cars had chrome bumpers, and people still wrote letters by hand. But among all these changes, one small item was quietly passing through the hands of millions, unnoticed by most, but now turning heads in collections across the globe. I'm talking about a humble coin, the South African 1 cent from the year 1962. Almost, it's just a tiny bronze disc. But if you've ever held one, you'll know, there's a certain weight to it. Not just physical, but historical. It's not merely a coin, it's a time capsule. Let's start with what you can see. The coin's design is simple, yet regal. On the obverse, that's the front side, you'll find the proud portrait of Jan van Riebeeck. His face, cast in calm resolve, stares off into the distance. He wasn't a king, nor a president, but his legacy is carved into South African history. As a Dutch colonial administrator, his arrival at the Cape in the 17th century marked the beginning of European settlement in the region. Like it or not, his impact still echoes today. Flip the coin, and there's a different story. On the reverse sits the image of two small birds, Cape sparrows, delicately perched on a branch. They look ordinary, but the artistry is exceptional. The detail in their feathers, the natural way they sit, all carved into bronze with precision. Above them, the denomination 1C, 1 cent below, the date 1962. Around the edge, two languages, Afrikaans and English, reminding us of a time when the country was deeply divided. yet somehow trying to present a united front. And now, here's the thing about this coin. It was struck in bronze. No fancy metals, no silver or gold, just a humble alloy. And yet today, collectors are searching far and wide for this exact year. Why? What makes this specific version so sought after? Some coins are valuable because of their metal. Others, because they were never meant to exist. But the 1962 1-cent coin. Its power lies in its timing, its rarity in pristine condition, and its symbolism. 1962 was a turning point for South Africa. Politically, socially, and economically, the country was walking a tightrope. Apartheid laws were tightening, opposition voices were rising, and resistance was building. That same year, a man named Nelson Mandela secretly left the country to gain support for the anti-apartheid struggle, a journey that would lead to his arrest months later. While the world watched South Africa with concern, ordinary citizens went about their lives, trading, buying bread, filling petrol, and slipping coins like this one into the hands of shopkeepers. The 1962 1-cent was everywhere, but few realized that one day, it would tell a deeper story. You see, most of these coins were used. Worn down by decades of transactions, jostled in pockets, and tossed into drawers. Finding one today in good condition is like finding an old photo that hasn't faded, a perfectly preserved memory. For collectors, condition is everything. A coin from 1962 that has survived without scratches, without discoloration, without the dents of time, that is a gem. And if it's been stored properly, untouched, the way it came from the mint, well, that changes everything. But there's more. In recent years, there's been a growing interest in African numismatics, that's the study and collection of coins from the continent. Coins like the 1962 1-cent, once overlooked, are now centerpieces. They're not just currency, they're relics of colonialism, symbols of resilience, and tokens of transformation. And here's the twist. Most people who have these coins don't even know their worth. Some are tucked away in boxes, left behind by parents or grandparents. Others are still gathering dust in kitchen drawers. But to a dedicated collector, especially one who understands the history, the condition, and the scarcity, this coin isn't worth a few cents. It's worth much, much more. Imagine this. You're sorting through an old tin your father kept in the garage. You find an envelope marked old change. Inside, among other coins, lies a South African 1-cent from 1962. It looks clean, barely worn, as though it hasn't seen the light of day in decades. You feel the weight of it in your hand, not just in grams, but in legacy. What you're holding isn't small change, it's a hidden fortune. Because here's what might surprise you. That simple bronze coin, if in mint state or uncirculated condition, has recently been valued by collectors and dealers at up to $1,160. Yes, you heard that right. $1,160. For a 1-cent coin. Now, of course, not every 1962 coin will fetch that price. Most have been too worn by time. But if you or someone you know has one that's been preserved, crisp edges, clear detail, minimal wear, it could be one of those rare examples worth its weight many times over. So what's the takeaway? It's simple. History hides in plain sight. Sometimes in photo albums, sometimes in old tools, sometimes in pocket change. And every now and then, something ordinary turns out to be extraordinary. If you're watching this and you're someone who grew up in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, ask yourself this: how many coins have passed through your hands? How many of those might still be sitting in a drawer or a jar at home? It might be time to take a second look. Thank you for watching. If you found the story interesting, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with friends or family who might just have one of these coins lying around. You never know, the next great discovery might be sitting in a shoebox just down the hall.